Feels like every week I'm talking about media asset management or video podcasting or both, so I thought it'd be fun to make a media asset management video. Gonna ask ChatGPT what ChatGPT thinks about this topic. Where's the money this year and beyond? Kind of share some anecdotes from my work and talk about AI. Pre-production is planning. Production is camera, lights, and audio, or creation of assets. Could be motion graphics, 3D models, footage, audio. Post-production is the assembly of visual and audio assets, assembly and delivery of them. And asset management is managing all of these things, whether it's documents from pre-production, footage, images, renders, work product. So first, let's ask ChatGPT what's going on. What are the most common media asset management challenges facing small businesses who are making video content for communications and marketing? So what I see by far, organization and storage. Firms large and small. It's usually Dropbox or Google Drive folders full of disorganized or not organized media and files. Version control or like SSDs in a closet, or maybe an old server that was expired and just sort of like offlined and put somewhere. And at NAB I've had a lot of fun talking to the vendors there about like petabytes, people moving around. It doesn't seem to be related to how big the business is. I'll leave it like that. Organization and storage is the most important part. Version control, when it comes to teamwork, very, very important. Collaboration and communication, I kind of lump all that in with like proxy workflows, quality control, access permissions, branding, integration with tools, much less of a problem that I've seen there. Training and skills, adopting the process of the workflow, copyright and licensing, you need to know what's stock and what you made, and distributed assets and where they're going. So I thought it'd be fun to ask a follow-up. I asked ChatGPT, if you have $250,000 and you're going to build an internal video team, including the infrastructure, what portion should be allocated to media asset management? And this is the thing that's going to make everybody just kind of like want to pass out. So if you're spending $250,000 on video, you probably have somewhere, if you're sending it all to a vendor, like a $20,000 a month retainer, I guess that's less complex, but these days almost everybody has some kind of hybrid solution because speed, flexibility, branding, security, a lot of different concerns. So I'm going to assume that a company that's spending $250,000 a year has one or two people internal who are managing and or multidisciplinary video people, something like that. So this is fun. So according to AI here, for a basic internal team, 15 to 25%. So that's, it's the last thing you think about. You think about the staff, you think about workstations, local storage maybe. Think about software and tools, proofing and review, camera, lights, and audio if you're going to make stuff. But this is, that's not a small amount of money out of your $250,000. It looks like almost a person, right? So, and it's hard to see the return because it also looks like you're buying cabling and storage and disks, and you're not. You're buying value. And the value is, boosting the return on everything else that you're buying. Media asset management. Okay, let's talk about money. So this is just stuff from the last couple of weeks. I have a friend with a production company who is a higher end production company in the Denver area. Think like, commercials for REI or, something where, you got to really get a crew and do high-end commercial work. And it's going a little slow. So we started talking about this, and it's part of the reason I wanted to make this video, because there's a lot of pressure, downward pressure from AI on production specifically. What I see when it comes to faces and places that people need production of, I actually don't think that's going away. And what I mean by that is real faces, as in it has to be my face, or it has to be, a certain executive at the company, even though you can make a cloned avatar of that person. If they have a factory opening, as in a place, you're going to want footage of that executive, cutting a ribbon in front of the factory, right? Even if you have stock images of a factory, no, it's going to be your new factory. And there's a leadership moment there, right? A presence outside the factory. So, or events. There's lots of things where you need the real face and you need the real place. So that doesn't seem to be going anywhere. But hey, I need a really great shot of someone wearing my new backpack that I designed, walking down a trail in the fall foliage. That stuff's going bye-bye. It's a good time to be in post-production. It's a good time to be in asset management. If you're in production, I think you're going to want to integrate asset management to add value. I think what's interesting to me is I keep waiting for that story to change. I've been doing this for almost 20 years. I was a video editor in 2006, and I keep waiting for all to go to the cloud or to not have the problem of a freelancer with a drive on his or her desk. It doesn't seem to be going away. A little bit, but someone's got to put the master somewhere. Someone's got to put the high-quality 4K somewhere. Anyway, this other startup that I was doing some work for, they have an ad campaign rolling out, and it was time-sensitive, and they need footage soon. And they were using stock, and if you've used a lot of stock, you just know that although it might be competently shot, it might look beautiful. It doesn't look like it's yours. This company needed some stuff and needed it quickly, and I was asking about asset management, and there really just isn't a foundation in place. So as I start making things for them, I'm going to build one a la carte, no matter where the assets come from. Okay, if you produce them, as in you shoot them, if you have AI generate them, if you have a freelancer who's good with AI prompting generate them, they still become assets, because as soon as you make an edit out of anything, whether you rename the file, change the resolution, add some copy, do anything to it, the source asset needs to be present in order to do that. Even if all you did was generate an asset in AI and then post it, okay? If you want it to just go through your hands and post and never touch it again, I suppose that's an argument against asset management. But in general, if you have a subscription to, let's say, a stock library, and there's royalty-free music, for example, a lot of those you don't have to attach the license to the project, as in relicense the media for the next edit, for the next client, for the next corporate video. If it's not broadcast or something, there are these huge licenses now that cover a lot of uses. So if if I use Envato a lot right now. If I'm downloading Envato music, I have to check with some new project to make sure that the licensing hasn't changed or something. But I generally can keep all that, a certain selection of music tracks that I've enjoyed. But I have to put them somewhere and I have to manage them, right? So even at the lowest level of using stock or using AI, you still have to manage assets, and you still want to leverage whatever you invested to get them. It could be time, it could be ChatGPT fees, especially if you're making evergreen B-roll for a company. Yeah, you don't want that stuff just on drives around the building, because inevitably at the end of the year, someone's going to say, hey, can we do a recap of the last 10 years of how the factory has expanded? And then it's like, oh goodness, boy, I wish we really had a B-roll library of all that footage over the years. And someone spends a week going to find it. Or not, maybe they just don't do it. It's even worse. There's always opportunity in it, and people have a hard time understanding the value of it. Then it's a great way to attract, convert, and retain clients, especially the retaining portion. Or even if they want to use a cloud solution, like you still need to have some kind of management of it, some kind of plan, some kind of workflow, right? So the more and more I'm integrated into that when it comes to production, the more it's easier to retain the client, for sure, especially when it comes to a post-production ask. I usually don't like to hide things from people, but yeah, delay discussions of hardware, software, and workflow, because it's eye-popping. If it's 15 to 25%, it feels like a tax. New production, and I've done this with people, is build a rudimentary process to just plug the leak. Data storage, accessing it, some sort of media asset management system. I built my own in Airtable. That's what I do if I'm doing it on the fly. And some kind of basic workflow. I use Posthaste a lot, Posthaste, which is like a free piece of software for creating really basic workflow and automation. Securing data. The cloud What I do personally, I have like a little 30 terabyte NAS for my production work, RAID 5 on a NAS, and then I have it back up nightly, local, to another disk, and then I use a cloud storage for current projects only, then triaging the data. Unless you can do that before you secure it, because something might be obviously out of date. And then I forecast goals, vision, and optimization for speed, quality, or cost. Kind of your basic process. The real thing is, people, the questions that I get, like on my YouTube channel or on LinkedIn, they're mostly centered around making money, finding and retaining clients. And this is the least interesting, highest return way that I'm aware of to do all those things. The hard part that I've noticed is that if you are making decisions, if you're working in a business or you own a business, and the reason we make video content is to accomplish a business objective, right? To launch a product, to document an event and share about it, marketing, communications, or sales, or internal communications, executive communications, has some kind of business function, right? The further you get away from the look and feel of the value, the harder it is to justify it when you're like making a budget. So if somebody gives you $1 million to make video in your business, peeling off 150 to 250 grand for the asset system doesn't look good to the people who are asking you to make promos. It looks like, are you sure? Can't we just put it all on Google Drive? The hidden value is similar to the hidden cost. And what I mean by that is, if you have things like a house codec, you might have like a version of ProRes that you like for your house codec, which is good for collaboration across teams of people or remote people or vendors. And then you might have an entire process for version control, proofing and review. But it really shows up when you ask for speed and someone says, I really want to, this executive has left the company. We want to make a tribute. And can you please pull all of the interviews that person did during the 15 years that they were at the company? Without an asset system, you can't respond to that business need because you don't have information, and you might not have access to the data. If you want to collaborate at high speed, especially across shared data, you definitely need to be able to share the data from a central location, right? If you have very particular branding guidelines and you need to make sure that everyone uses the right version of a logo, for example, you're not going to want 30 copies of it floating around a company. You're going to want it checked in and out of an asset system. If you have legal considerations, there's risk involved in someone sort of doing the wrong thing. You can mitigate that with asset management. So it's a hidden cost, but it's also a hidden value. The most service level hidden value is speed, the ability to use your stuff for new purposes. And I'd say the secondary one is things like employee retention. You really want to build like an unstable media creation ship with 30 video people on it. Go ahead and leave this off the plan. And they'll be running around looking for footage and fighting with each other. Just kidding. I don't know if they'll be fighting with each other, but they will not be happy. So I hope that was helpful. That's a long video. Thanks for watching. Shameless plug, I do this for a living. If you need help building video infrastructure, teams, or process, you can give me a call. Thank you.